Rain fell on St. Michael's Cemetery like God's own tears, or maybe just cold, indifferent water. It matched the mood inside the limousine, a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. My grandfather, Arthur Finch, was in the ground. The man who taught me to fish, to whittle, to read the stories hidden in the rings of an old oak tree was gone. The reception at my parents' house was a somber parade of casseroles and hushed voices. I, Lena, stood by the fireplace, feeling unmoored. Grandpa had been my anchor in a family that prized polish over passion. My mother, Elizabeth, moved through the crowd with the graceful grief of a society widow, though it was her father who had died. My father, David, shook hands and accepted condolences like a CEO managing a corporate loss. Grandpa's lawyer, a kind, rumpled man named Mr. Henderson, had read the will earlier. It was straightforward. The house to my mother, his savings split between her and my uncle, a few specific heirlooms to cousins. To me, he left his old cherrywood fishing tackle box and the contents of his safety deposit box at First Farmers and Trust. My mother had sighed audibly at that. More junk to sort through, Lena, really. After most guests had left, Mr. Henderson approached me quietly in the hall. He pressed a small, cold key into my palm. Box 417. He wanted you to have this directly. Your grandfather was a man of interesting secrets. His eyes flickered with warning, or perhaps just weariness. Before I could even examine the key, my mother appeared, her smile taut. The key? For heaven's sake, Lena, it's just the old passbook for his checking account from the 1950s. Sentimental nonsense. Give it to me. I'll deal with it along with the rest of the paperwork. Mr. Henderson said Grandpa wanted me to have it, I replied, closing my fingers around the key. Her composure cracked, just for a moment. It's a worthless scrapbook of a life he should have left behind. It should have been buried with him. She snatched the key from my hand. Before I could react, she strode to the kitchen, yanked open the trash can beneath the sink, and tossed the key in on top of coffee grounds and wilted lettuce. I stared, stunned. This wasn't about clutter. This was rage, a deep, old, festering rage directed at a small brass key. "Consider it done," she said, wiping her hands on a towel as if scrubbing away a stain. "Now go help your aunt with the dishes." I didn't move. I looked at the trash can, then at my mother's perfectly composed, icy face. Grandpa's last secret was in the garbage, and she was terrified of it. I waited until the kitchen was empty. With my heart pounding, I dug through the damp, sour trash. My fingers closed around the key, now slick with grease. I wiped it clean on my black dress, the stain a badge of defiance. Without a word, I took my purse, walked out the front door, and drove straight to the imposing stone building of First Farmers and Trust. The bank felt like a marble tomb, echoing with hushed voices. In my funeral clothes, I blended seamlessly into the somber atmosphere. I approached a teller, my voice barely above a whisper. "I need to access a safety deposit box, number 417. I'm the beneficiary. My grandfather, Arthur Finch, passed away." The teller, a young woman with kind eyes, nodded. "I'm so sorry for your loss. I'll need the key and your ID, and the manager will have to accompany you to the vault." I handed her the grimy key. Her brow furrowed as she examined it, then she picked up the phone. "Mr. Grayson? We have a situation. Box 417. A beneficiary is here." As she listened, her eyes widened. "Yes, sir. Right away." Moments later, a man in his 60s with a neatly trimmed gray beard and parchment-colored skin emerged from a back office. His nameplate read, "Walter Grayson, branch manager." He looked at me, then at the key, and his face drained of color. "Miss Finch?" His voice was strained. "Lena, his granddaughter." "I see." He swallowed hard. "Please, come with me." He led me past the teller lines, through a heavy, humming door, and into the chilled silence of the vault. The air was thick with the scent of cold metal and old paper. Gleaming metal boxes lined the walls. He found 417, inserted his master key, and gestured for mine, his hands trembling. The box slid out with a soft hiss. It was larger than I expected, a long rectangular container. Inside, there was no jewelry, no stock certificates, only a single item, a thick ledger-style passbook, its dark green cloth cover faded with age. The gold lettering on the front was nearly worn away, but I could make it out. First Farmers and Trust, account register. Mr. Grayson stared at it as if it were a venomous snake. He told me someone might come afterward. His voice was a hoarse whisper. He said if it was anyone but you, to deny its existence, to say the box was empty. My heart pounded. What is it? Open it, he said, stepping back. With shaking hands, I lifted the heavy passbook. It felt dense, weighted by its secrets. I opened the cover. The first page was a deposit ledger, the handwriting unmistakably my grandfather's, the same strong script from his birthday cards. The account name, A. Finch, settlement account. The first entry, January 17th, 1946. Deposit, $200,000. Memo, initial disbursement, Willow Creek Agreement. I caught my breath. $200,000 in 1946 was an unimaginable fortune. I flipped through the pages, sporadic, massive deposits appearing every few years through the 1950s and 60s, each labeled Willow Creek Agreement, Annual Allocation. The amounts varied: $50,000, $75,000, $100,000. The balance grew into the millions. Then, in 1974, the deposits ceased. The account remained open, the staggering sum silently accruing decades of compound interest. On the final page, in my grandfather's later, shakier hand, was a note. For Lena, who sees the trees for what they are, the truth is in the deed. Look to the stand of white oaks north of the creek. The money is yours. The guilt was mine. Forgive an old man his silence. Love, Grandpa. I looked up at Mr. Grayson, my mind spinning. What is the Willow Creek Agreement? Where did this money come from? The bank manager had collapsed onto a stool by the vault door, looking ill. He dabbed his brow with a handkerchief. Miss Finch, your grandfather and the bank had a long-standing, confidential arrangement. This account was a settlement, private restitution. Restitution for what? He closed his eyes. In 1945, a dam owned by the bank's founding family failed, the Willow Creek Dam. It wiped out a whole valley community downstream, Mill Hollow, dozens of families. The official inquiry called it an act of God, but the engineering reports, they were buried. The bank and the family paid to make it disappear. The pieces fell into place, forming a dreadful picture. My grandfather, he was an engineer. He was the junior engineer on the dam inspection 2 weeks before it failed, Grayson whispered. He filed a report warning of critical stress fractures. The bank and family suppressed it. After the disaster, they paid him to keep quiet. This account was the price of his silence, his blood money. The passbook suddenly felt impossibly heavy. The millions were the cost of his conscience, the burden he carried for 50 years. Why me? I managed. He said you were the only one who loved the land without wanting to own it. He trusted you'd know what to do. Grayson stood abruptly, his composure shattered by panic. But you can't. You mustn't. The family who owned the bank, they're still powerful. They're descendants on our board. If this surfaces now, after all these years... He grabbed my arm, desperation in his grip. Miss Finch, leave it here. Close the box. Walk away. This money, it's cursed. It's brought nothing but pain. I looked from his stricken face to the passbook, to the record of my grandfather's shame. This was the secret my mother wanted buried. She must have known. She grew up with this money, this lie, funding her comfort. I pulled my arm free.
What if I try to withdraw it, to claim it? Walter Grayson's face crumpled. He looked like a man watching a catastrophe unfold. He staggered to the vault intercom, pressed a button, and spoke 2 sentences that made my blood run cold. "Call the police. Do not let anyone leave the bank. We have a code black. Repeat, code black." He turned to me, his eyes full of pity, far worse than anger. "I'm so sorry, Miss Finch, but you've just awakened something that was supposed to sleep forever, and now none of us are safe."
The next hour passed in a haze of surreal terror. The bank went into lockdown, shades drawn tight. 2 officers arrived, not local cops, but stern-faced men in unmarked jackets. They spoke in hushed tones with Mr. Grayson, casting grim glances at me and the passbook. Instead of a patrol car, I was led to a nondescript sedan. "For your safety," one officer said, his tone leaving no room for debate. They didn't take me to a police station. We drove 30 minutes to a glass and steel office park, the headquarters of First Farmers and Trust's parent company. I was ushered into a sleek conference room with a manicured lawn view, worlds away from the storm inside me. Waiting there were 3 people: a severe woman who introduced herself as the bank's general counsel, a sharp-eyed man in his 70s named Alastair Thornfield, a direct descendant of the bank's founding family, and my mother. My mother's face was twisted with anger and fear. "You stupid, meddling girl," she hissed the moment the door closed. "Elizabeth, enough," Thornfield said, his voice gravelly and cold. He turned his icy gaze on me. "Miss Finch, you've stumbled into a private family matter, a settled matter." "Settled?" My voice shook, but I pressed on. "Your family's negligence killed dozens of people, and you paid my grandfather to hide it. That's not settled, that's buried." The lawyer leaned forward. "All statutes of limitation have expired, civil, criminal, everything. There is no legal case. There's only a confidential financial agreement between Arthur Finch and the bank, which you are now threatening." "I'm not threatening it. I've inherited it," I said, raising the passbook. He left it to me, the money and the truth. Thornfield's expression soured. "Take the money, all of it. Sign a comprehensive NDA and we'll transfer the full amount to any account you name today." It was a bribe, life-changing, and meant to keep me silent. My mother stared at me, pleading silently. "Take it, please. Let this die." I looked at the passbook, at the ledger of suffering and secrecy. I thought of Grandpa's laughter, shadowed by sadness. I remembered the innocence of Mill Hollow, erased by water and money. Grandpa hadn't left me this fortune to make me rich. He'd left it to make me free, free of the family lie. He gave me the choice. I placed the passbook on the conference table and slid it to Thornfield. "I don't want the money," I said. The room fell silent. My mother gasped. "What?" Thornfield said, stunned. "I want the truth. Publicly. Release the suppressed engineering reports. Erect a memorial at Mill Hollow naming every victim. Correct the history books. And clear my grandfather's name. He was a whistleblower you silenced. That must be in the press release." "You're insane," the lawyer whispered. "You'd throw away millions for history?" "For justice," I corrected. "The money is tainted, but the truth is clean. That's my offer. Keep your blood money, give me the truth, or I take this passbook and this story to the New York Times. I have digital copies. My attorney, not yours, has them already." It was a bluff. I had no attorney, no copies, but the terror in their eyes told me they believed it. Thornfield stared at me for a long, hateful moment. Then, with a curt nod to the lawyer, he relented. "Draw it up. The memorial, the records release. Downplay the Finch name." "No," I said. "His name stays. He was a victim, too." A week later, a short article ran in the State Historical Journal and a longer one in the financial press. First Farmers and Trust acknowledges historical cover-up in 1945 dam failure.
It referenced the compensated silence of a junior engineer, but didn't name Grandpa. Still, it was a start. A piece of land by Willow Creek was deeded for a memorial park. My mother hasn't spoken to me since. The money that shielded her life is gone, along with her respect for me. In her eyes, I chose strangers over family. But I sleep better now than I ever have. Sometimes I visit the new Willow Creek Memorial Grove. I stand among the young white oaks, just north of the creek, as Grandpa said. I don't have his millions, but I have his name cleared. I have the truth rooted and growing stronger every year. When he handed me that key, he wasn't giving me a fortune. He was giving me a shovel. And at last, I dug us both free.